So we are here with, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Doro Pesch,
Right.
and I'm totally dedicated to metal for my whole life. And
That's
I've been
life.
for a long time, but yeah,
And-
we're here in Chicago.
Normally when I speak to you, we speak about Doro, but today it'll be a little bit different because you are promoting Warlock's music, you're bringing it back.
Yeah.
So we will talk about Warlock and talk about your beginnings in the musical scene. So at what point did you realize that you could, that you have a musical talent?
Oh, I love music since I was, I think, 3 years old. I was like a little kid, and then there was one song which was actually a key song for me. It was Lucille by Little Richard, and I fell in love with that song so much. And from that day on, actually, I wanted to become a singer. And I'm an only child. I always want to have brothers or sisters, and then and then I was always dreaming about having my own band. So when I grew up, yeah, music was my life, and I could always sing pretty loud. I must say, everybody said, "Wow,"
Do you play any instruments?
I started piano when I was a child, but on stage I just purely sing, and sometimes I write some songs, on piano or keyboard, but yeah.
Now, as far as being a singer, did you receive any formal training in that?
Yes, I did. But I tell you, we did our second album, our second Warlock album. It was Hellbound, and then everybody asked me, "Hey, are you a professionally trained singer? Did you go to university?" And actually I thought, man, everybody's asking me, so I wanted to learn it. And then I did I got some vocal lessons for 2 years, and then actually after 2 years everybody said, "Hey Doro, can't you sing like you sang before? Before it was much better, much more powerful." And I thought, really? And I said, yes, before I was more metal. And then I thought, okay. And then I gave it up, and I thought, man, I spent all that money that people would say, hey, before was much better. So I believe when you're a metal or rock singer, it has to come from your gut, from your heart, from your soul, and not so much, like technique or what people, teach you. For other musical styles, of course, you have to be probably professionally trained, but I think for metal, you just have to, let it out, like Bon Scott. I'm sure he isn't professionally trained, or wasn't professionally trained. So.
How long did it take you to get in the band? Once you realized that you could be a singer and you wanted to do it, how long? And was Warlock your first band?
No, I wasn't the first band. My first band was called Snakebite, then Beast, then Attack, and then Warlock. And my first band, Snakebite, I was like 15, 16 years old, and actually I was very sick before, so it was like something, I didn't know if I would survive. It was like for 1 year I had to stay in a hospital, and I was not sure, I would make it. So I thought, if I would ever make it, I want to get out and make people happy and sing and do music. And then, luckily everything went okay, and then 2 weeks later I had my first band. I got out of the hospital. 2 weeks later I had my first band. I think maybe it all fell into place. Actually I got hooked up with some cool guys. They needed a singer, and at first I thought, man, should I try out? It was I was very nervous, but then I thought, I can sing loud. I can definitely sing loud, and then I tried out, and it worked immediately, and then I had many other bands, and Warlock, I guess it was the right time.
What would you say made Warlock stand out from all these other bands you were in?
Yeah,
because that's the band that really kind of took you places.
Yes.
So what is it about those bunch of guys that really made it happen?
I think we all had great chemistry. It was a great time. We started in '82, and before it was cool, but '82 it was just about when in Germany, when the metal scene was starting, we had some little fanzines, weren't even magazines, were fanzines where people did handwritten and then made photocopies, and we went to see other concerts. Yeah, did you?
Oh yeah.
I can imagine. So it was, I guess, good timing. We had good songs. We were always writing songs, and we had a couple of songs which didn't make our first record, but I think they were really good as well. And then songs like Burning the Witches.
And how long before the first album became reality?
Actually, yeah, we did a couple of shows and we had a little fan club. And the fan club, they were sending out cassettes. We didn't even know it.
Demo tapes back then.
Yeah, demo tapes, yeah. And, and then in between 2 weeks, we had like 4 record deals on our table. It was like independent labels. And actually, back then in Germany, metal was pretty small. Now it's huge and it became huge. But in the beginning, the Netherlands and Belgium and England, they had a much bigger scene. So we signed with a Belgium label. It was called Mausoleum. And they had the coolest logo, and had 2 drops of blood on.
I remember that
hand.
one.
So it was like, we said, okay, sounds cool, and the people seemed all right, and then we did.
And that's the first album. You want to show the first album, maybe, and say a few things about it. So this is.
That is the one, and and that was Mausoleum, our first record label. And actually, it got picked up by Polygram later too. They somehow bought it out and they re-released it. And
what memories do you have from making that album?
Oh, we did it so fast. I think we recorded it in 1 week, and then it got mixed, and the mix was a disaster. So we had to have it remixed, and actually we got connected with somebody really nice. Henry Staroste was his name, and Rainer Assmann, and we got along so good. And then actually these 2 guys, they did our second album, Hellbound. And Burning the Witches actually did pretty good. We had no idea. We were totally blown away. We thought maybe 100, 200 copies would be, like we would sell it to friends, family. And then it was, I think in our first month, it was like 25,000.
Not bad. Now at that time there were very few heavy metal bands with a female singer.
Yeah.
So you kind of became a pioneer in that way.
I always felt like a metalhead, and I think metal is above that. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I just love music, love metal. And there were a couple of great singers. For example, Jodie Turner of Rock Goddess. I loved her, and I loved Rock Goddess and Girl School, Lee Aaron, Lita Ford, Joan Jett. It was maybe a handful of girls, and but I never felt like different. I was just one of the guys, and
outstanding.
And I gave it my all, so it didn't seem to matter.
How do you think progress from the first album to the second, Hellbound?
This one, like I said, it was remixed by Henry Staroste and Rainer Assmann, and they were actually they had another band, and it was on Polygram, and then they told the boss of Polygram, hey, there's a pretty cool metal band, check it out. And this guy, he sent somebody to the Netherlands. We played in a club called Dynamo, and it was a cool club. And then the guy went to see the show, and his eardrum blew. So the boss of Polygram thought, wow, that is so cool, I gotta sign that band. So that's what it took. So we winded up on Polygram. I was many years on Polygram. Today it's Universal. And this was our second album, Hellbound. We recorded it in Munich, in the Country Lane studios. And it was actually, that one was a very short production. That one was a very long production. I think it took 6-8 months. And it was, it was actually the first big release, but not in America. And I always wanted to go to America. That was always my dream. And and then we had to wait for the third album. It was True Steel.
Yes.
And it got recorded in Munich again with same people. And it was our first worldwide release. And with this album, True Steel, we hopped on tour with Judas Priest. And Judas Priest was my favorite band, and it was so awesome. And we played the legendary Monsters of Rock festivals in 1986, which was, I think, 100,000 people. Motorhead played, Ozzy Osbourne, the Scorpions, Def Leppard. It was awesome.
Now, in what direction you felt the band was progressing at that point?
Actually, I tell you, it was, Burning the Witches was like pure, fun, and, it was...
Very underground.
Yeah, very underground, which I still love that underground stuff. Hellbound was a little bit more professional, and, in a big studio, so on and so on. And then on True Steel, I felt so much pressure. The record company, they wanted to have, radio-friendly songs, and being a metal band, you know, you don't like that, you know.
Yeah.
You don't like
a lot of bands felt that pressure in the 80s.
Yes, because the industry was so big, and there was a lot of, you know, like, discussion, and then it got mixed by Michael Wagner, and he was so, you know, like, he was such a big name back then. So yeah, this album came out a little bit more commercial, and well, we were, you know, so happy with it, because demos were great, you know, was super metal, and we always thought we are more like a metal band, like, let's say, Priest, except Metallica, and not so pop,
which kind of brings me to the next question, because in the 80s there were two extremes. You had the very heavy bands, Metallica and Venom and Motorhead, and then you had the other metal bands which were a little bit more poppy, and you guys were kind of somewhere in the middle out there.
Yeah, but we like
probably closer to the heavier bands than the poppy bands.
So of course, you know, the sound is a very important thing, you know, when it's like, you know, too polished, you know, when you're metal, you know, you don't like that so much. So, you know, of course, maybe you get your stuff played on radio, but, you know, for us it was pretty difficult to accept that. So, but it was my first America release, and my first time I came to America for 3 days. It was 3-day promotion tour, and after 2 days I knew I would stay, and I fell in love with America so hard. I knew it before. And then I went to New York, did a little promotion, and then I stayed. And now I'm a proud green card holder for the last, I guess 27 years. It took me a long time to get my green card, but I got it. Yeah, and then in America I felt, man, it was like breathing new life into me, because, you know, I didn't feel any pressure. I got hooked up with fantastic people. Cozy Powell played on this Triumph and Agony album. Joey Ballin, he was the producer. We wrote great songs. You know.
Things got really big for you.
Really big, yeah. My guitar player, who I will play tonight, you know, the whole Triumph and Agony with, Tommy Bowen. I met him, and this was an album. It felt like magic. The making of this album was magic. I think the video of All We Are was
That's right, MTV was really playing it a lot.
Yes, we got on heavy rotation, I tell you. You can't beat
the production was unlike any other albums.
Yes.
Big guitars, big vocals.
Big guitars, and of course All We Are, this anthem, it just like, it was like a big metal hit, and worldwide. And the album cover, it was done by Jeffrey Gillespie. He's my favorite painter. He's an English guy who lives in France. And then, you know, I told him I want to have like the Warlock, you know, like with like the white hair, like an older guy, like a magician. And here this one, it was actually, it was painted by the record company. You know, we had like a little, a really, really nice layout, and the Warlock looked exactly like that. And then, you know, this record came out, and we almost like, you know, like screamed, because, you know, he didn't look like we were imagining the Warlock. You know, Warlock was always with a hood, very thin, you know, long white hair, and, you know, and suddenly, you know, they didn't take our layout, which was really, really beautiful, and somebody repainted it. So, so I wanted to have the real Warlock, and then I got it.
Finally got it.
Yeah, finally got it. And it was actually the biggest album cover in the world. It made the Guinness Book of World Records. It was a big album cover, like this high, and it was a picture disc, and you opened up like my stomach, and then it was a big picture disc coming out, and it was almost my size. So, but this record was my favorite record. I think so great songs on it, like All We Are, Für Immer, I Rule, The Ruins, Metal Tango, East Meets West. I think killer songs, Touch of Evil. We will actually open up with Touch of Evil. It's very hard, and we play the whole album now, which we have never done before, because some songs, they never made our set list, and now we rehearse them, and they sound really nice. I think they're all the same level. There are no fillers. They are really all.
Also, back then you got on a big tour with Megadeth and Sanctuary, which was a really powerful tour.
Yes.
How did things go back then?
It was awesome. Yeah, actually, my first tour with Triumph and Agony album was Ronnie James Dio in Europe in '87. And then we did a club tour in the States, which was really great, wild, all the places packed. And then we hopped on tour with Megadeth and Sanctuary, and it was awesome. We played Chicago. It was my last gig of the Megadeth tour in Chicago. It was a big venue. And I just saw Dave Mustaine a couple of weeks ago in Germany. There's a great festival called Summer Breeze and Wacken. But I met him in Summer Breeze, and I met Warlock Day, a Sanctuary in Wacken as well. So so we are still
little
all
reunion.
connected. Yeah, great reunion. And,
Now, what happened afterwards? Because afterwards, Warlock stopped being Warlock and he went solo. Where did things go wrong?
I never planned to be solo. Actually, we had trouble with the name. And I don't want to get too deep into it, but it was a mess. I guess many bands know what I'm talking about. Sometimes when there's a little bit of success, then suddenly everybody
wants
goes
a piece of
crazy. Yeah, wants a piece of it. And then we got in so much trouble, and we had another manager in Europe, and we had one American manager. His name was Alex Grobe. He was great. And the European manager, suddenly, he left us. He went to another country, which was like, totally a big surprise, because he was a great friend of ours, and then but he was the merchandiser as well, so he wanted to keep the name and sell all the T-shirts, and we got in a lot of trouble because of him, and he's not anymore alive, so I don't want to say anything bad, but man, I tell you, people sometimes they get crazy, they lose reality, and it was actually, it was so hard, because I never wanted to be solo, but then we couldn't use the name Warlock for a while. I got it back. It took me 20 years to get the rights to the name back, but so I thought, okay, let's do one record under the name Doro, because the record company and the other manager said, okay, maybe the fans would connect, with the name Doro. They would know who it is, because the record company said we're not interested in building up another band. We put so much effort into Warlock, so it was hard. And then we did our next record, Force Majeure. And I thought, let's put the name Warlock on, and then, but we got in so much trouble, so we had to take it off again. And and then 20 years later, I can
if it wasn't for all those organizational troubles, you would still be Warlock.
Yes, absolutely. It never crossed my mind to change it, because it was a good thing. We had so many fans, and it was good. But I tell you, that's why they call it the music business. Sometimes, when business people get into the picture, man, the whole thing, gets like really, really intense and crazy. And there was so much pressure back then. It was like, wow, I sometimes I feared for my life. And in many situations, even before that record came out, even, when we had the second record out, sometimes, people, they want to do business, they see the money, or they smell it, and then, people can get really crazy. So, and to me, it was always about the music, I don't care about anything else. I only care about the fans, the music, the songs, the stage performance. So, I'm really not so.
Are you
so
still
into the business aspect, which I must say, if there's a new band, I would definitely give the advice to go to a lawyer before you sign something. So it's not, it's important to do.
Are you still in touch with the old members from Warlock?
Some of them, but my closest friend was always Tommy Bourne, and then I called him up last year and I said, hey Tommy, Triumph and Agony is almost 30 years old, and let's do something great, let's celebrate it, like 30 years anniversary of Triumph and Agony. And he was immediately on board. He said, oh, I love it, I would love it. He said, okay, Doro, tell me when you put the race car on the tracks, I'll be racing. I thought, okay, right on. So we started rehearsing, and it's awesome, and And Tommy, he played all the solos on this record, many other guitars, almost 80% of the guitars. And we still have a good thing going, great chemistry, and we have a deep friendship. And he's wild, yes, you know, like this powerhouse energy, which I love, you know, it's so metal to me, so I'm very happy that we are
Now,
playing
over the
together.
years, during your solo years, do you often get asked about Warlock?
Yeah, worldwide, yeah. In some countries, it was actually, it was as big as, as all these other big metal bands. And and when we go, you know, on tour, like in countries where we couldn't tour before, like, you know, for example, in Russia, you could never go there in the 80s. I guess the Scorpions were the only band who could do it. But, you know, like people who never saw the Warlock thing live, you know, they're very, very into it. Still, South America is like, you know, big Warlock country, so they're
How do you feel about these songs so many years down the line?
I love him. I think there are highlights on each album, like, of course, Burning the Witches or Without You. We sometimes play it, you know, for Lemmy, you know, dedicated to Lemmy, or Dio. And True Steel, I think, is a great song. Hellbound is a great song. Earthshaker Rock, we love to play. And I think the Triumph and Agony album, I think it's all in all, it's the best album. I think it has the best songs, great lyrics, great melodies, the right energy, and the right sound. That was mixed exactly like I wanted it. And some songs got mixed 6 times. It took like 6 times to have it, like, you know.
Back then?
Because, you know, it's so delicate, it's so sensitive. But a song, for example, like Für immer, which was our second single, it was first All We Are, then Für immer, which was a German title, and it had a couple of English lines, a Spanish line, and a German lyric, and it was very important to me, so this one was 6 times mixed, and we mixed it in Cajun Studios in Philadelphia, and the rest got recorded and mixed at Power Station Studio in New York. And great people played on it. For example, Touch of Evil was played by Cozy Powell. You know, I want to have somebody who has, like, you know, so much power that I can really scream, you know, scream my ass off. So Cozy played on this record as well, and many other great people. Yeah, I think it's a hell of a record. I still love it. I still love every song on it. Yeah.
Now, this tour is very exciting, but there are very few dates of it. Do you anticipate any more dates coming up?
Yes. We want to. At first, we weren't sure if people would be interested.
And what kind of response are you getting so far?
Good, great response. All the live shows, they went so well. We did 2 shows in Europe. Sweden Rock Festival, which is a great festival, is as big as Wacken, and Norway Rock, and that was awesome too. So there were 2 festivals in Europe, and now 5 gigs in the States, and the turnout was great. The fans got so excited, so we definitely want to do some more, like Texas and Cleveland and all the places where we always love to go. So this will be the first 5 gigs.
Now, only a minute ago you mentioned Lemmy, who you have a really good friendship with.
Oh, yes,
Lemmy sadly is gone, but his memory lives on. So what are your personal memories of Lemmy?
I had, you know, I think he was my best friend in the business. I think Ronnie James Dio and Lemmy, they were my closest friends. Yes, and I think they were so awesome, and I learned so much from them. And you know, and I toured 2 times with Dio in '87 and in 2000 here in the States, and there we became great friends. And with Lemmy, I did 2 songs. In 2000 we did it in LA. It was our first time doing a duet. And then we talked day and night, hung out in the studio, you know, just like, it was awesome. And it was at a time where I felt really, really sad. My dad, he died, and then Lemmy gave me a phone call one day after it happened, and I said, Lemmy, I'm so down, man. And he said, oh, let's do something together. I will bring you in a good mind frame again. He said, I can tell you're so sad. And I said, yeah, my dad was my best friend. And, you know, I said, okay, come to LA, we do something, we write some songs. Yeah, and then we recorded in LA and recorded Love Me Forever, the Motorhead classic again, which was one of my favorite Lemmy songs, or Motorhead songs, and Alone Again. It's a song Lemmy wrote on his acoustic guitar, and I didn't know that he played guitar so beautiful, and we sang it, both songs we sang together, and it was the first time that we did a great collaboration for many weeks. And then we did one song together on our last record, Raise Your Fist, and it was called It Still Hurts. And we always play it at the end of our concert, you know. The tape, you know, runs, and then, you know, it's a good feeling to hear Lemmy. We have never done it live, that song, which, you know, I always thought, you know, it would be great. But unfortunately it wasn't, you know. So maybe, you know, I hope we will all meet again after. I definitely believe in an afterlife, so yeah. But Lemmy and Dio, they were like the closest to me, like, yeah. And
finally,
best memories.
Your passion, where is it coming from and how do you maintain it?
Oh, my inspiration are the fans, the fan base, every single person. When I see that I can make somebody, you know, happy or give them some good metal energy, you know, then I'm happy. It's so satisfying, and yeah, and I'm doing it now for so many years. Every year I feel more and more intense about the fans. I love them to death, and yeah, and that's why I live, and that's what I live for. It's the fan base worldwide. The fans are like, yeah, they're my true love. So yeah.
Thank you.